China is moving its embassy in England to the heart of London to begin what they call the biggest diplomatic mission in the world in that location. The new location is in the old 1900 Chinatown area, but that area today consists of more than 40% Muslim population. So with a lot of allegations against China's mistreatment of Uyghur Muslims back in the Xinjiang region of China, this move is causing a lot of controversy with the local residents. However, the London officials are saying that in spite of the human rights violations, they won't take any action against China because China is just too valuable to trade with. And that, my friends, is what you call walking on thin ice. This story is very interesting because it serves as a symbol of what's going on a greater scale between the UK and China right now. So we'll take a look at all of that in today's video. Stay with me, we begin right after the intro. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Soran, here with your daily international video. So this story is very interesting because it deals with the attitude that the UK has towards China. The whole question here for the UK and for all of the countries in the West is how much are you willing to sacrifice to get richer? China has long been looking to gain a foothold within Europe, and slowly but surely they are succeeding. The last battle we saw between China and the UK was over the 5G China-run network. Some countries like the US have completely banned it because they understand that even though it brings possibilities, at the same time it brings very real counterintelligence risks. Now, the UK has, at the very least in some parts, chosen to take in this 5G China-run network for a test run and see if it works for them. So this story is about the whole balance between countries deciding what are the risks versus the benefits of dealing with China. So keep that in mind as we read this story. China's treatment of Uyghur Muslims sparks anger near new embassy site in London. China's decision to move its British embassy from London's upmarket West End to the less glitzy East could have been a heartwarming tale of homecoming. The new mission will be built at the former Royal Mint, just a stone's throw from the city's original 19th century Chinatown. China plans to refurbish the building and establish its biggest diplomatic mission in the world at the site, set just back from the River Thames on the outskirts of London's financial centre. The article goes on to read. Just behind the former Royal Mint are the residential streets of Tower Hamlets, where 4 in 10 residents are Muslim, the highest proportion than any other borough in the United Kingdom. Some there say the embassy isn't welcome until Beijing stops its alleged mistreatment of Muslims in China. China is believed to have detained up to 2 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in internment camps in the far western region of Xinjiang, according to the US State Department. Beijing says it's providing vocational training and helping to de-radicalize segments of the population to combat alleged Islamic terrorism and violence in the region. Alright, so look, to be fair to China, they did have a massive issue with Muslim terrorism over the last many decades in that Xinjiang region of China. They did try a few efforts to decrease terrorism, such as trying to step up a police presence without having any good effects. They tried to decrease poverty to make sure that less people were poor in the area, but nothing ever really worked. So in the very end, they saw this as a last measure, that they built these detention camps where these horrific reports are coming out from. These Uyghur Muslims and other minority groups, it's not just Muslims, but millions and millions of Muslims are being kept in these detainment camps. And the Chinese government is saying that they're re-educating them, that they're giving them new vocational skills, that they're just teaching them basically how to work in China. The travesty here is that a lot of these people from these detainment camps, once re-educated and taught complete Mandarin, they're sent to these factories that then go on to produce products for bigger companies all around the world. It's really a scandal. I won't go too much into it because the other day I made a video about it that really details everything about that issue. So if you're interested, I will leave a link for you up here that you can click and it will take you to that video. But as for this video, we will continue down here. Some local opposition councillors say that they too are concerned about the implications of embassy's move and want the issue debated at council meetings, but they don't outright oppose the mission coming into their neighborhood. What's playing out at this borough and its council isn't so different from what's happening in the UK's national government, as well as those of many other democracies for that matter, striking the right balance between reaping the economic benefits of working with China and criticizing it for rights abuses is difficult. China is very interesting to me because they clearly live under this very strict communistic rule with social scores where you're judged for everything you say and do, and you can't speak out openly against the government because then you'll receive a very strict, very harsh punishment. They're always expanding their territory into smaller nations like Hong Kong recently. Now they're beginning to set their eyes on Taiwan as well. And still the West is like, but we can make some money here. And by the way, this isn't just a problem with the UK or England or the West in general. This is a problem all over the world. China is taking over huge parts of infrastructure in countries in Africa and countries in South America, all over the world. Especially Africa, they have a huge problem with China taking over infrastructure and putting investments into governmental officials, basically buying up governments and buying the debts of multiple nations, right? It's pretty crazy. At the same time, China is beginning to influence these massive international organizations like the WHO, where recently, as soon as the US steps out, it kind of leaves a vacuum for China to fill. And as soon as the US stepped out of its funding for the WHO, China stepped in with another huge investment of, I think, 30 million euros or dollars. I don't remember which, but whatever, which one of them it is, right? They stepped in with a huge investment. So this is a problem all over the world. So they sure are clever in the way that in spite of all of that, they can still gain so much influence in countries like England and Europe as a whole. It's really crazy to witness. I don't like it, but no one seems to care because the money is just simply too good. So the mayor of London was asked about all of this and he gave this reply. What we want is to send a message to China that if they move here, they need to be aware that our borough, in all of its diversity, is a place where we're very proud to stand up for human rights, Khan said. China is not going to change, Khan, and they don't care what you say, and you're giving them what they want. You expect them to change after you give them what they want? By the way, the Chinese ambassador said that he hoped the embassy would become a London landmark and that the new premises should be a symbol of China's current role and influence in the world. Now, isn't that just a beautiful symbol? He ended with saying, the embassy added that the Chinese government attaches great importance to the safeguarding of human rights and said critics should abandon their lies and deceptive words on Hong Kong and Xinjiang and stop using human rights as an excuse to interfere in China's internal affairs. Look, as I started out by saying, this story is more of a symbol of how China is increasing its influence all across the world. I do think more and more people are aware about it now, but it's like people don't really take things to its logical conclusion. What do we think will happen when China gains more and more control? It's like most of us just live in this capitalist bubble where we think that all companies are into is just making profits, and if everything revolves around making profits and growing stronger in that way alone, then we have people like Khan saying that he's saying all the right things, but he's not actually gonna do anything about it, right? He's saying that we're gonna stand up for human rights but at the same time we're gonna deal with you guys who actually currently are violating human rights very clearly. And that pattern of standing up with words but not with actions is something you see all the time when nations are dealing with China. So these Uyghur Muslims I talked about a little earlier in the video, they're sent out from these detention facilities when they've been re-educated. Now they speak fluent Mandarin. They're sent out to these factories that literally produce products for companies like Apple and Nike and other huge companies like that. I'll stop myself here and not go too much into it because this video will be too long, but let's just finally at the end here, let's take a look at what some of these demonstrators demonstrating this embassy move are saying here. They're saying that it's very obvious that trade relationships are being prioritized, not just in the UK. We see this in African countries and China's neighboring countries that are already trapped in debt to China, and Turkey too. Turkey was the country that we Uyghurs always felt we could rely on or seek refuge in, said Mahmoud, a Uyghur who left Xinjiang in 1997, just before the detention camps began being created and the terrorism really started going out of control. Turkey is increasingly relying on China to dig itself out of debt. It was previously one of the few Muslim majority countries to have criticized China's actions in Xinjiang early last year, denouncing the camps as a great shame for humanity. It has since softened its tone towards Beijing, and President Erdogan's AK party voted against launching a probe into the alleged abuse against Muslims in China. So obviously I'm not blaming England or any single nation for that matter for any of this. I'm just trying to spread awareness that standing up with words against China isn't gonna cut it. We need to take action against them in terms of creating fair trade deals, making sure that if these human rights violations are still taking place, then maybe as a huge company, maybe you shouldn't actually deal specifically with those factories, right? At the very least with those factories, but maybe reconsider your supplier, maybe reconsider moving to India or somewhere else. The UK is doing some really good stuff to counter some of these things that China is doing right now. Recently, Boris Johnson offered up to 3 million people from Hong Kong to come to the UK and gain UK citizenship. He created a very clear path for people of Hong Kong with these BNO passports, these British nationals overseas passports, to come to the UK and actually gain UK citizenship. To me, that's a great way of countering when China begin to take over a city like Hong Kong that's supposed to be independent. They imposed this new national security law where basically it gives China leeway in all things when it comes to upholding the law. It's a terrible situation for the people of Hong Kong, and obviously this move by England really counters that move of China. To end on a positive note, I do think it's great to see that some of these countries that are currently in active conflicts with China, such as India, Taiwan, and Australia, they're beginning to create these alliances, actually mostly led by the US, creating these alliances so that it won't be that easy for China to bully them. In the end, China isn't an evil nation. It's got really good, hardworking, decent people, but its foreign policy is very intrusive and very long-term. I'll end it here before the video gets too long. But remember to subscribe to my channel if you like this video. And thank you guys so much for watching until the very end. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for tomorrow's video.